time. It is the single biggest excuse humans use for pretty much everything. We use it to get out of things we don't like. We use it to get out of things that are difficult and hard. We use it to procrastinate over things. We use it for literally everything. But if you had all the time in the world, what excuse would you use then? So, Alphas, as always, welcome back to the show. My name's Naylor, CEO and founder of Naylor Body Design, host of your Optimal Alpha podcast. Hope all is going well. It's going to be short and sharp today. We're talking about time, so I'm going to save you some time by being quick. Right. Time is, or the lack of and waste of time is the number one dream killer, I would say, for pretty much everyone. It's the biggest single excuse I hear from people as to why they can't do something. Oh, I don't have the time. I can't find the time. I need to make the time. If only I had the time. I'm time poor. Time this, time that. It's like a default excuse for everything. Look here, right? Yes, we can all be busy, right? But busy doing what? Busy doing what? Is everything that you're busy doing a truly important task? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Or are you doing tasks, when you really think about it, that you do not actually need to do? You could either just stop doing or, quite frankly, delegate away to someone else. You only spend your time in one of three ways, okay? You waste it, you spend it, you invest it. You waste it, you spend it, you invest it. That's it. Some things might fall into more than one category, but ultimately that is where your time goes. Think on that and try now think, where do you use most of your time? So what do these three categories look like? Well, they're going to be different for everybody, but here's my thought on it. So wasted time. This is time lost. This is time lost forever for no purpose and no gain. It's wasted. Okay, it's by far the worst category to be in, and you should clearly use as little time as possible in the wasted category as you can. The moment you feel that your time is in the wasted category, you need to react and move your time and do something different, or better still, plan your day better. Plan your day efficiently and effectively so that you never fall into a wasted category. What does wasted time look like? Well, here's a simple way of considering this. This is not a one way of thinking fits all way of doing this, but think about this. Any task that you do that is below your hourly wage. So first of all, before considering this, go and work out your hourly wage. Now, if you're employed by someone, it might be quite easy because you might have a paid slip and a paid check that literally tells you what your hourly wage is. If you are in a business, then you're going to need to work out it in a different way. If you're a business owner, it might be the revenue of the business divided by your hours or your activity in the business. There are ways of doing it. But everybody should be able to work out what they're earning per hour. Now, anything that you're then doing that's less than that someone else could do for less than that, why are you doing it? You're basically paying yourself less to do a job that someone else could do. Now, these could be things like cooking, cleaning, ironing, car maintenance, grocery shopping, tending to the garden. There are jobs that maybe you enjoy some of these things. Right? There's nothing wrong with that, but consider it could be possible to have someone else come and do those kind of tasks who, quite frankly, could probably do it better than you in the first place. Ironing is a really good example. I don't think most people really enjoy ironing. Maybe you do. I don't think most people do. There are people out there that, quite frankly, love it. They find it therapeutic, they find it stress relieving, and they probably then charge out their time as a service to iron for people, right? Awesome. So why not find people that do that and pay them? That's a job that you don't need to do, that maybe your hourly wage is above what you might be paying someone to iron. And quite frankly, they're damn sight better than you at it. So there's no point using up time doing these tasks when you could delegate them away to someone else. Any task under your hourly rate, you should immediately delegate away, unless there is another reason that you are doing it. Now, for example, I quite like baking. I'm horrific at it, but I quite like baking cookies, oat cookies to be precise. It's about the only thing that I can make. I quite enjoy it. I quite enjoy it. Like it's kind of therapeutic. It doesn't take very long. Is it below my hourly rate? Yeah, it's completely below my hourly rate. But I'm prepared to do it because I quite enjoy it, and it doesn't even take me an hour to do. But it also, when you're doing it maybe once per week, once per 2 weeks, if I was doing that task daily, I'm eventually thinking, or multiple times a day, I'm eventually thinking, why am I spending time here doing this thing when I could get someone else to do it, and I could be sit here being far more productive. Also, watching television. Absolutely time wasted. So, right, yes, watching a film, an interesting documentary, a gripping series, these things are fine, and I'm pretty sure all of us do that at some point. But limit it. Put a cap on it. Maybe use it as a little reward. I say that kind of carefully, but maybe use it as a little reward or like a little unwind. But do not use it as a habit. It isn't something you should be doing every day, staring at a screen, being, quite frankly, entertained. This is a huge issue for so many people, that they would far rather, maybe unknowingly, choose to be entertained rather than educate themselves or do something in one of the other categories that I'll talk about in a minute. Just be and scrolling, mindlessly scrolling on social media is probably worse than television hours per week per person at the moment. I'm pretty sure. Mindlessly, and we all know that we do it. It's very difficult not to do it. Maybe you go onto a social media to answer a message for someone, and something catches your attention, which is exactly what social media is trying to do. And 10 minutes later, you're like, oh crap, I'm still here. Be really mindful. Also, not stacking tasks that could be stacked. So, for example, simple one, walking in the morning while hydrating, while listening to a podcast for education. That's 3 things that can be done, quite frankly, at the same time. Whereas if you did them all separately, you'd be wasting time. Right, so I go and walk, right, then I sit down and hydrate, and then I listen to a podcast while doing nothing else. You can stack those things together, which is then not wasting time. Alphas. I interrupt this show with a simple message. This show is here to benefit you and your progression to the best version of yourself. But not only just you, it's also here to benefit the people around you, your loved ones, your friends, other alphas in your vicinity. So why not do a really cool thing today? Something that I would thank you for, and maybe someone else would. Share this podcast with at least one other alpha out there who you know would benefit from it. Why not share the information, share the ability for someone else to grow? I'm sure they would thank you. I 100% would absolutely thank you. This podcast only grows by our listeners, our followers doing amazing things like giving us 5-star reviews, downloading podcasts, subscribing, and then, of course, sharing it with other people. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Share it with one person, and, of course, drop us a 5-star review, download the podcast, and, of course, subscribe. And now back to the show. Your time is finite, limited, and it is running out daily. And the older we get, the faster it seems to go for some particular reason. Like, we all know that this is true. The older we get, the faster it goes by. And we certainly, I think most of us will get to an age where you definitely start to realize that we ain't going to be here forever. So my God, don't spend time in the wasted section. Get out of it. So next, spent time. This is time spent slightly more wisely, okay? So this could be things like time spent purposefully relaxing, right? Maybe getting a massage, maybe, having a hot bath, maybe being in a sauna, steam, like doing something purposefully relaxing, unwinding, being with the family, taking part in a fun activity, maybe going to the cinema, maybe playing golf, maybe hiking, maybe traveling, maybe holidays. I would suggest that I don't really think any of those things are wasted time. They might be wasted time, and they might be invested time. They might fall into either or. Depends on you, your life, your priorities. But those are kind of some of the things where It's time well spent. That's how we would put it. I spent that time well. I could have done something better. I could definitely have done something worse. So we would just call that time well spent. Okay. So it's neither wasted or invested. So there's nothing wrong. I would say there's nothing wrong with being in this section. But again, I would encourage you to maybe have set time limits and boundaries on how much time you were in the spent section. So it doesn't take over. You're not always relaxing. You're not always playing golf. You're not always on a holiday, because soon that becomes wasted time. Okay. And then the final section, time invested. I would suggest this is where we should spend most of our time. I would also suggest it's where most people don't spend most of their time. Depends on the individual, but I would say most people naturally fall into wasted and spent. Invested is where you should be. There's no question. This is learning, self-development, to give it two subcategories. Learning and self-development. So not entertainment, but where you are learning and developing yourself as a human. So this could be doing things like courses. Yeah, going through courses, reading books, doing something that grows your business or improves you as an employee in someone else's business. So career progression. Time used here wisely will simply pay you back down the road. It will pay you a dividend down the road. Time invested in sort of physical health, so your physical well-being, your mental well-being, even your spiritual and say emotional health and well-being. This is all time invested into something down the road, into the future. Just like any investment, it's something that you're doing now for something more later. Okay. So for example, a skill learned now, so you put time aside to go and learn a skill now, no one can come and take that skill away from you. You've got it forever. Okay. And I would suggest the more skills you have and can command, the higher level problems you can solve. The higher level problems you can solve. So therefore, you are now more valuable to your business, maybe to an employer, maybe to your family, and quite frankly, to the world. So the better your health, ultimately, the longer you are here, because you've earned yourself more time. You've invested time now to earn yourself more time down the road because you've got better health, better well-being, better longevity. You've invested time now to maybe give yourself an extra 10 years at the other end. Isn't that time well spent? So use most of your time here. Learn to see the invested time as the most valuable use of your time, because it is without doubt. Okay, there is no better investment than into ourselves. It's as simple as that. So, little action for you. Why not go and make a list of the activities that you do each day that maybe fall into each section? So you might be doing something and think to yourself, yeah, this is proper time wasted. Right, have a column somewhere that says wasted and write it down. And that maybe do Monday, Tuesday, maybe do it for the week. And then maybe see how many times you're doing the same wasted activity every day across a week. And then maybe start to track the time of things wasted, spent, and invested across a whole week. What things are you repeating? And then give them a percentage. And then you can kind of work out, where am I spending most of my time? How effective and efficient am I in the use of my time? Be ruthless doing this. Be ruthless. This is a really good you don't have to do it once, maybe, right? It won't take any time doing it because you're there anyway. Okay, it matters. Where you spend your time matters, because quite frankly, one day you'll be dead, and then you've got no time left, ever. So I guess really there's no time like now to start working on using it wisely. So there we go, Alphas. I hope that has been maybe slightly useful to you. Go and use your time wisely, and I will see you on the next episode.